coming up on show 860, mass confusion reigns over the number of Cybertruck and Rivian pre-orders. We'll dig into that today on the show. Well, EVs are outperforming the new car market here in the UK. The BMW iNEXT has been spied in detail, and why the Tesla update that's coming your way could help make your car suspension even better. Those stories and more coming up on the podcast today. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're listening in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily for Thursday, 6th of August. It's Martyn Lee here, and I go through every EV story so you don't have to. I started the day today by logging on and seeing some fantastic numbers, by the way, coming out of the UK, where the electric car market has once again significantly outperformed the rest of the UK new car market. EVs are growing at a rate of 260% here in July, year on year, and for plug-in hybrids, 320% compared to the same period last year, says Next Green Car website, with the latest set of figures provided by the car makers themselves and out first thing this morning. With the first half share of pure-EVs of 8%, how's the last month been in July? Well, July's figures see pure-EVs, or BEVs, battery electric vehicles as they are sometimes called, making up 4.7% of all new cars registered in July 2000, with a total of 8,162 registered. Plug-in hybrids, a bit smaller, 7,447 registered. The market share of 4.3% added to the pure electric car market share means that cars with plug sockets on did 15,500 registrations for a 9% market share. That's up on the first half of the year average of 8%. How does it compare to diesel, for instance? Well, the diesel market share, which has been nosediving, by the way, for months and years, really, diesel market share was just 16.5% versus 9% for cars with plug sockets on. Unthinkable a very short time ago. Unthinkable a year ago, last July. The European diesel share percentages, and diesel was a big thing here, particularly in the 2000s and the early 10s, because of, well, in this country, government persuasion with cheap road tax because of fewer CO2 emissions on diesels, but of course they are pretty much disgusting for everything else. The government had, to an extent, the wool pulled over their eyes, but they should have seen that coming. But in some countries, European countries, Spain, Italy, UK, Germany as well, the diesel share has been 60, 70%. I mean, the Italians loved their diesels not so long ago. To see a diesel share at 16%? Jeepers. And for cars with plug sockets on at 9%, for anywhere apart from those big EV places like Norway, that is a hell of a statistic. I wonder when the day will come. It's coming, isn't it? I wonder when the day will come where cars with plugs on overtake dirty, disgusting diesel. I'm looking forward to that day. I might have a cold beer waiting in the fridge when it comes. Well, a new batch of spy photos have just provided a fantastic look at the upcoming BMW iNEXT, and we'll call it the iNEXT for now, but it won't be its name when it's on the market. The camouflage is hiding specific design details, but it is easy to get an idea of what this particular EV looks like when the concealment comes on. BMW positioning the iNEXT as a technological tour de force. Now, this one's not an SUV, but it has got a slightly raised kind of rake at the rear. Maybe it's a slight crossover, you could say. One of the most interesting decisions is that the company has, in a way, tried to keep that crazy big BMW kidney grille, which is their iconic design, and as an electric vehicle, everyone knows you don't need openings to get cool air into an engine, not necessary. So the engineers are doing some funky stuff with packaging in the area, with all of the different sensors serving as basically a giant eye for the car, says Motor1.com. The iNEXT will use BMW's 5th gen EV powertrain technology that we're finding in the BMW iX3. While power figures aren't available, the company wants the range to be over 373 miles or 600 kilometres. BMW will debut the iNEXT in 2021 and go on sale next year as well. As the premiere approaches, we are looking forward to seeing more of those camouflage body panels come off, and when we finally see it unveiled, place your bets. The i5, what do you reckon? I think it could be. All right, the first in a couple of Tesla stories. Well, a few Tesla stories today. We'll start off with a smaller Cybertruck. being highly likely. If all goes as planned, and that's a very big if. Given Tesla's history, the company will start producing the highly anticipated Cybertruck late next year, and somewhere down the line we'll see a smaller version of the electric pickup, according to a tweet from Elon, says Motor Trend website today. Responding to a question about the possibility of a smaller truck for Europe, Elon said a smaller Tesla Cybertruck is, and I quote, highly likely down the road, end quote. Well, his tweet echoes his comments back in May when he tweeted the Cybertruck will remain about the same size as the concept, but that a smaller world truck will probably follow. And that's a good thing. For my American listeners, you have no idea how small the roads are here. Even driving a Tesla Model X can be a bit ridiculous at times, and so the idea of a Cybertruck, which is enormous, a bit of a non-starter. Looking forward to a smaller version of that, hopefully coming. Staying with Tesla, Cybertruck, and now we'll add Rivian into the mix. What are the orders for each of those? Well, the Cybertruck and the Rivian R1T, that's the truck, not the R1S, the SUV, according to this data point, are neck and neck in electric pickup demand, with some interesting other models trailing not too far behind, according to a new survey, which was done on Twitter. My alarm bells are ringing already. Everyone has their favourite, and this Twitter survey used geotagged data from Twitter. It's a website called partcatalog.com. They built a map showing the most anticipated electric truck in every state across the US, tracking tweets and hashtags about electric trucks in every state and modelling that interest into who's buying what where. Over 90,000 tweets have been tracked, says the website Electrek. Well, Tesla claimed over 200,000 reservations in the first week of Cybertruck taking orders, and the latest tally reservations, some people guessing 650 in the first 9 months, 650,000 I should say, in the first 9 months. However, Tesla has been asking for only a $100 deposit for the Cybertruck, and well, why the heck not put some money down? Even if you have to wait a while for the truck, at least you're in line. Well, from that story to this one, Tesla Cybertruck reservations being lower than expected, the number of reservations for Tesla's Cybertruck is apparently much lower than expected, while fans have been assuming 700,000, some people, is the consensus figure. 700,000 reservations based on analysis of reservation numbers that people have been sent from Tesla. Elon just named a very, very low number. In an interview with Automotive News, a multi-part interview, Elon today said that the number of Cybertruck reservations was over 200,000. Now, that isn't a very specific figure because, of course, 700,000 is over 200,000. But why wouldn't he say over 3, over 4, over 500,000? He actually named a number lower than what Tesla had previously said. It's a surprise because Tesla announced 250,000 pre-orders only a few days after the presentation back in November. Does that mean people are cancelling? 50,000 people cancelling? Up to, possibly. Says Electrive, while CNET says that fans keeping track of their order numbers have been estimating 727,000 reservations for the Cybertruck, a huge difference. Of course, Elon would be the man with all of the information at hand, so why would he simply say over 200,000? Is he being accurate? Have people cancelled reservations? Is he downplaying the amount of reservations? And if he is, why would he be doing that? It's interesting. A strange number for him to say. If it is around that number, it'll be, well, around 500,000 reservations less than the general consensus until we heard Elon say it's simply over 200,000, but he could have been purposefully vague. And finally, on the Cybertruck story and the Rivian story, reservation numbers reveal that Rivian actually has 30,000 buyers waiting. Inside EV says that we thought we'd have a hard task getting the real number of pre-orders, but that was spared thanks to the work of Skylar Williams and John King. The answer is about 30,000 reservations for the Rivian R1T, and they say that the reservation numbers are around 56,000 in terms of the actual number on the order, but they've missed out large swathes of that. So if it starts delivering the pickup truck in July 2021, and they do make 20,000 a year as they say, everyone will have their first order R1T by August 2022. About now, 2 years away, according to John King's calculations. That happens because, Well, he works with a precise number of pre-orders. He actually is working with the assumption that it's 24,832. He's more careful and says his figures are based on big assumptions rather than going any bigger. So yeah, what they've been doing is looking at the order numbers that people have been sent by Rivian, and they use a platform called Shopify. So Shopify anyway start any order at 1,000. So if you were the first person to buy a Rivian, your order number was 1,001. And so you have to take 1,000 off, and then they were tracking when order numbers matched up when people put their order in, and they found two big jumps where literally it went up by 5 or 10,000 overnight. Clearly we didn't have suddenly 10,000 people all ordering the R1T at once, and that, they say, is an assumption that they just redid the numbering. So although some people have an order number of 56,000 and something for a Rivian, there's really about, late 20s, maybe 30,000 of them being ordered. Still a good number, and I wonder how you think that compares to the Cybertruck. But we don't know what the Cybertruck is, so the whole thing really is a lot of guesswork. I mean, it's better than a Twitter survey to backtrack these numbers, but still we don't have any definite clarification on exact Cybertruck reservations for $100 or exact Rivian reservations for $1,000. All you would say is that of those people who have put the $1,000 down for Rivian, some people arguing they're more likely not to cancel, or they're more likely to go through with a full purchase because, Rivian are asking for 10 times the deposits of Tesla. All right, let's talk a software update with a few suspension improvements coming to Tesla. They say we have simplified the Tesla suspension control logic to better support both temporary and permanent heights. If ride height manually adjusted is set to high or very high, your car now automatically lowers after you drive a short distance. For snowy or off-road conditions, tap Keep next to the ride height slider to keep the height at high or very high until you reach the maximum allowed speed. For steep driveways or places where you always need to raise the ride height, tap Always Auto Raise at this location. Bit of geolocation stuff going on there with the sat-nav, and so it knows you pull up to your driveway with a big lip or something, and it'll raise the car. This feature will raise suspension to the saved height when entering a location, only on the S and the X, obviously, with the air suspension, but a nice extra touch that I'm always looking for these things that mean the S and the X remain there. Premium, top-of-the-pile cars, rather than very expensive, but not quite good technology as the 3 and the Y. So always good things, because there's no air suspension in the 3 or the Y, even though Elon tweeted a long time ago that the Y would have. That was a long time ago. Okay, let's talk about... Look out for your software update, by the way. 2020.32 for Tesla owners. All right, if you are interested in car subscription services, the AAA car subscription service now offers 55 Volkswagen e-Golfs, available for short-term subscription hire in the Sacramento area as part of Electrify America's Green City initiative. The program is another facet of Electrify America's commitment, they say, to advance electric mobility for residents of California's capital region, and introduces new alternatives to traditional car ownership. They say that through AAA car subscription, the EV service members can now get a 2018 Volkswagen e-Golf. You get the insurance, you get the repairs, you get the maintenance, you get emergency roadside assistance, and you only pay one flat monthly fee. Well, the scheme is also designed for those on a lower income, and if you do qualify for it, you can get a Volkswagen e-Golf for just $11 a day for some people who do qualify for those cheaper prices. Let's move on. And in some refreshingly good news for the environment, news coming out of London, BP, British Petroleum is what we don't call them anymore. BP has announced it's planning to cut its oil and gas production by a massive 40%, and on top of that, invest billions of their own dollars into research of clean energy and building out their clean energy division. It's part of a major strategic plan that was unveiled today, along with a huge second quarter loss, a dividend cut as well. Says Clean Technica, BP expects demand for fossil fuels to fall by 75% over 30 years. And of course, they're planning their business on a 30-year time frame. If global temperatures continue to increase, their head of strategy, Julia Chiechia, explained to investors today that if the increase in global temperatures can be limited to 1.5 degrees Celsius, the demand for fossil fuels will be falling dramatically, and that's why they want to spend on clean, green energy investments and pin their future on being a green energy company, not a dirty oil company. And we can see that here, for instance. Our biggest charging network was bought recently by BP and renamed BP Chargemaster. And frankly, whatever they bought it for, whether it was, I don't know, I forget, 120, 100, 130, 150 million, whatever they paid, it was an absolute steal. And for them, largely pocket change, almost a rounding error when you're a company as big as BP. And they're investing in the EV charging technology here. And some of the charging, they design their chargers and they build them as well. Some really, really clever stuff going on there. I know a couple of people, actually, still who work in the EV bits, and someone who's moved on to work on their green strategy. Very, very highly rated people as well. So good people working on good solutions. Finally, VW is seeing the market for high-performance electric cars and saying that they're just more fun. Quicker handling cars aren't a priority for VW yet. They want to make the big mainstream cars, but enthusiasts are asking VW for them, and Volkswagen says, yes, we will deliver them. Developing a performance car requires removing weight as much as possible, and designing an EV with an acceptable amount of driving range normally means using a bulky battery pack, says Autoblog. Well, Silky Bagshit is the head of electric car and marketing and sales at Volkswagen, telling Autoblog, and I quote, looking at the weight distribution, the decision was made very early. With the battery adding weight, you have a very low centre of gravity, and in most front-wheel drive electric cars, you can't have a lot of fun because the front wheels spin when it's wet as well. So with rear-wheel drive, that never happens. They say it's the reason why they went with rear-wheel drive. And otherwise, we would have had to restrict the torque. And I think torque is fun every day. End quote. Brilliant. That's a great quote on its own. EV torque is fun every day. And it really is. And they got the hang of it. So I'm glad that they are going to be catering for those that want performance cars from the VW stable. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it's on the roadmap, and that's a great thing. Well, that's your show for today, and I'd love to hear from you about what you think about anything we've talked about. My email address is hello@evnewsdaily.com. Or leave a comment on the YouTube show where I post the audio only onto YouTube. I'd love it if you could share this podcast with just a single person. I mean, more than one? Amazing. A group of people? Stunning. A forum or a chat? You have? Stellar. Anything you can do to help us spread the word and continue to grow EV News Daily, to reach more people who want to learn about EVs. It would mean a heck of a lot if you could do that. Thank you very much in advance. Thank you to our premium partners on the funding platform that we use, Patreon, Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Porsche of the Village in Cincinnati, Volvo Cars of Cincinnati East, Audi of Cincinnati East, now nationalcarcharging.com and allohacharge.com. A Hawaiian charging story to come tomorrow on the podcast, and Derek Riley from the EV Review Ireland YouTube channel. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And do remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.